Hello, King of the Hoots, and welcome to your deck review. For those of you joining us for the first time on YouTube, this is a series where I, Maulhound, a known yeller and hater, will politely and helpfully do your commander deck's weird little PP. PP being your premise and your practicum. Your premise is the idea behind your deck. For this deck, we are looking at the story of Liliana, and your practicum is the 99. It's what you put in to help execute the idea. I'm guessing it's every Liliana card deck. So what we're going to do is spend a few minutes talking about the idea, whether or not we can achieve it in the brackets we want to be in, or whether we're going to have to make some compromises, and then going over the 99 and seeing what we can improve there. So on the idea, I love it. It's beautiful. I would caution you about this working totally because Liliana is such a big character. I think a problem you're going to run into is there is so much Liliana throughout all of Magic that it's going to be impossible to capture her entire story effectively inside one commander deck. Think of a book that gets adapted into a movie, and you watch the movie, and you're like, that should have been a Netflix series because they had way too much stuff and they had to cut a ton of it, and what they kept didn't really make sense because of all the stuff they had to cut. I don't know Liliana's story well enough to know if that's going to be the case, but I'm worried about it because we're talking about zombies, we're talking about Josu, who I don't know who that is, we're talking about demons she made pacts with. So I'm worried that we're going to get spread very thin very quickly. And there's going to be a lot of things where maybe this was like a whole arc of Liliana's story. And in our deck, it's just like, hey, here's this one guy, remember him? And everyone's going to be like, no. And the deck's mostly for you. So that's not a world ending problem. But despite what I'm gonna charge ahead and do in this review, I think you may find more overall fulfillment if, after I'm done here, you go back, break it down, try to be like, okay, well, are there multiple arcs that I care about? Can I get more specificity? Can I get like 3 decks out of this? And then I can pick whether I want the story of Liliana the commanding general, Liliana the upstart mage, Liliana the Jace kisser. Those are the only things I know about Liliana. So right now we're in Esper. I kind of think that works, even though Liliana herself is mostly black. Like I'm picking up what you're putting down there. So our commander is Verena the Lich Queen. I don't love this one because it does not translate directly to us winning the game. Like we get to touch a lot of cards, which is good, especially when we're doing a theme deck, but our cards are probably going to be on average worse than everybody else's because we're trying to adhere so closely to this like story element. I would prefer something that got us damage. So we could be like, hey, look at this beautiful tapestry I'm weaving. Also, I'm killing you, I'm killing you, I'm killing you. That type of thing. We'll talk about that, but I think more importantly, what I'm going to do first and foremost, because we have this mix of like absolute must-haves on theme. You talked about demons you made contracts with, so this makes sense to me. And then stuff. So to help with any future edits you make, what I'm going to do is duplicate this deck, and I'm going to do a first pass where I just go through and say, are you necessary? Do you seem necessary to a third-party observer to the story? If you don't, you're going out, or you're going to the sideboard, and then we can look at what mechanical things can we bring in that are going to be better, or things we can bring in that are going to adhere to the story more closely. So Angel of the Runes, can't see why. Crystalline Crawler, can't see why. I believe you on the demons. Elas Ilkor, I also don't believe in. This guy seems like he was brought in as like a pinch hitter. Like we were like, fuck, what else can I do? I can't win with the zombies. I'm gonna play LSL Core. He drains people. I'm draining you. I'm draining you. There's like a little bird in my head telling me Emrakul is related to Liliana. Yeah, I believe you on that guy. I believe you on a Lich Knight. I believe you on a demon. Liliana is in the name. Nope, not related to the cop robot. This is probably a pretty good one to have. I don't believe he's related to the story, but I do believe in him just being in here. I believe in Razaketh. I don't believe in Tekasol. Temet should probably be the commander. I'm going to sideboard him because I don't think he's like necessary to the story. But he should probably be your commander instead. In a way, the thrumming bird. What the hell is going on with all these art? What is happening with the Eternity Vessel? I gotta Google this one. Okay. I don't see an immediate Google result for how the Eternity Vessel from Zendikar is related to Liliana, so we're gonna, that's nothing, that's nothing, that's nothing, that's nothing. Hmm? At nothing at all. All right. Soul Guide Lantern I could maybe believe in. I could at least see the like relevance to the afterlife. Isn't the Chain Veil a Teferi thing? MTG lore. Oh no, ancient and powerful artifact, hidden catacombs, and Chandelar. That seems like it could be Liliana related. Ah, it is related to Liliana. I see her name right there. Perfect. All right, we keep the Chain Veil. Nope. Well, maybe. I'm just not yet convinced. Vessel of Endless Rest looks like it could be a lore grab. The other thing I'm picking up as we go through is we appear to have this like fake idea that we have a proliferate sub theme, which is interesting to me because I don't see. Maybe I already sideboarded all of them. But like I don't see meaningful counters. I see a lot of like random counters. And this is also kind of like I'm smelling a little bit of we also built this from collection, like we built this from what we opened, from bulk we could find. And that's another thing I'm going to caution you against when you have a really clear idea of the creative direction you want to go in. I think limiting yourself to what you can find can be an interesting way to push you into new card choices when you don't really know what you want to build. When you have an incredibly strict ask, when you have an incredibly strict brief, you know, limiting yourself to, okay, stuff I could find leads to us playing random Sunburst cards when we could be playing a thematic Liliana card or a minimum a thematic zombie card. These are the remaining creatures that are fine. Blessing of Belzenlock has to stay. Don't think this has to stay, but it is card. No, we're just cutting everything that's not necessary to the lore. Liliana Vess in the flavor text, I got you. Oh, it's because you want to proliferate these. Yeah. We want to proliferate these planeswalkers. Okay, the proliferate game plan, the proliferate by itself makes more sense. All the stuff that we brought in as like, well, now that I'm proliferating anyway, I will surely benefit from having these other cards. I don't believe in that too much. It doesn't look like it was put together coherently enough. All right, the rest of these all say, I don't think we need that. I think we want to be like we're going to be pretty tight on zombies as it is. So that can go, we're keeping every planeswalker, they're all Liliana. 33 lands, you probably don't have enough of these. So I'm going to add a plains, an island, and a swamp. What's Fumigate do? Okay, a board wipe's pretty reasonable. This has Liliana on it, so I think, yeah. So then we have Price of Betrayal, but it has Liliana on it. Reanimate with Liliana on it. Rise of the Dark Realms, but I know has an art with Liliana on it, and this has Liliana flavor text. Okay, beautiful. So now we have 18 cards that we can put in that help this deck more. I still really don't believe in Verena the Lich Queen as this commander, so I'm going to try it with Temet. Fuck me. Okay. Temet Nactimon's Will. So with him in the zone, well, what do our planeswalkers do? Is there a way to celebrate them more? We can move stuff out of our graveyard. We can kill something. We can fill our graveyard or reanimate it. We can, wow, do extremely little with this one. Extremely little. I do a little bit of board control. Get land drops. Not very much, not very much. Not very much. Not very much. Not very much. And then a little bit. All right. So this is the other thing we have to worry about, which is why I talked about maybe you want to break this into multiple decks. Most of these Lilianas are garbage. And so trying to force them to be the center of attention will cause a lot of problems for you. The Lilianas we can try to play through to create win conditions are Professor Onyx for sure. Red Horde General kind of. If we have good zombie generation, that'll be fine. But Liliana Death Wielder, we're gonna need some like good creatures in our graveyard, which I don't think we're gonna have. Liliana Death Mage, maybe, but we kind of need to be milling everybody else. And like a Necromancer's actually not too bad either, because we get to blow up target creatures and then put 2 creature cards from graveyards onto the battlefield under your control. So the game plan I would be on mechanically for this is a mix of the proliferate that you already had and then some type of like zombie pillow fort. Or yeah, here's the friction I was worried about with trying to do Liliana's whole story just in one deck, because the rock and the hard place we're getting put between is very few of these Liliana planeswalkers mechanically want you to make a lot of zombies. This one kind of does. The rest of these want you to reanimate a bunch of fuck-ass creatures. Like there's return creatures from grave to field, return creature from grave to field, return from grave to hand, tell everybody to go fuck themselves, grave to hand, and grave to field on the alt. This one cares about having zombie creatures in the graveyard. Grave to field on the alt, grave to field on the alt. So the mechanical through line that I'm seeing on all these other, on majority of these Liliana Planeswalkers is if we can get them to alt, you can take things from every graveyard, which really makes me want to mill people kind of passively. I don't know if you have, I don't know how that fits into your understanding of Liliana's lore. I would argue that it fits in at least as well as Pentad Prism does. So we can do mass mill. A way we could effectuate that while being a little bit creepy and like occult and witchy would be Altar of the Brute. The snake thing is really not Liliana's deal, so I'm kind of torn there as well. And then the other thing we can do that is a lot more basic is we can just go for, I'm going to play a lot of zombies. I'm going to hope that I draw a lot of cards. And if I play zombies and draw cards, I'm going to beat you to death. And Lilianas are going to be there in the back doing generally good stuff for me. So I think that's probably... I was going to say it's easier to do. I'm not actually convinced that it's easier to do anymore, because so many card slots have to be taken up by non-zombies that we may not really get a good... We just might not get a good critical mass of zombie generation. So something else that could be helpful here is the Geisas. Now, I know she's not Liliana, so maybe you don't like having another creepy zombie lady. But Ghoulcaller Geisa and Geisa the Hellraiser would be a very good way to try to convert into making zombies. And then the other thing I'm going to recommend to you for the deck is either tutors or pretty heavy impulse. Because like I said, we have like 80% of our Lilianas just don't matter. That is a creative problem that you're going to have to come to peace with at a later date. But if the goal is, I want to play every Liliana, the only mechanical things that are going to support that are doing some type of like proliferate into Chain Veil infinite turn combo, which I personally think kind of blows at the brackets you want to play at. And so if we're not going to do that, we have to play around the fact that 30% of our deck doesn't talk to another 30% of our deck, right? Like Tainted Remedy doesn't give a fuck about Oath of Liliana, which doesn't give a fuck, or only tangentially gives a fuck about Liliana's talent, which tangentially gives a fuck about Liliana's mastery, which doesn't give a single fuck about Liliana's contract. And so what would help you an amazing amount is to be able to have tutors that let you go like, okay, how do I find the thing that is going to allow me to be relevant in the game? For you, I would argue getting Geese of the Hellraiser out so that all of your targeted spells, because many of the Lilianas can target things negatively, not all of them, but a fair number of them. This will convert you into having a board of zombies. Board of zombies means I can now protect my Lilianas, means I can now start uptaking my Lilianas, means I can maybe threaten you with damage, and you can be kind of overwhelmed by the ghoulish tide. So we can have the Geeses. We already have these demons. What does our curve look like? Devastating. We do probably need to put ramp back in. But the ramp that I would be putting back in is likely the like the talismans and the signet cycle. These guys. So hierarchy, dominance, progress. Maybe don't use the Agents of Shield one for this one. Ooh. You know, I'm actually... The more I look at this, the less and less I am convinced that it is worth it to go blue. Because most of the stuff you had in blue is the stuff where I'm like, I don't think this has any thematic relation to Liliana, and most of it just seems to be for the proliferate angle. But even if we have the proliferate angle, like, can we flip? Loki, I think you would be better off just putting heretical healer in the command zone and rebuilding this as a mono black deck if we really want to, because it doesn't cut, like, it cuts barely any of the cards you have remaining. It cuts Swords to Plowshares and Fumigate, which I think can be replaced pretty simply. Because the issue that I keep butting into, which is tying my tongue up, is any direction we go either doesn't celebrate the flavor of Liliana, or it doesn't do the mechanical thing we need it to do, or it makes our commander like mega useless. And so if our commander is Temet Nactimon's Will, we're not going to get anything done unless we draw a lot of zombies. We also want to ramp a lot, which I guess we kind of want to do in any Liliana deck, because man, do these planeswalkers cost money. But I think you could get something going with Liliana Heretical Healer in the command zone. And then I would be playing the zombies that make people sacrifice things. I would do some type of like Liliana Death Cult, because these will flip Liliana very easily. They will control the board so that people can't kill your Liliana very easily. And then I would do some type of reanimate game plan. So all of my early creatures would be creatures that have removal stapled to them. So I would go to Scryfall Tagger, go to removal creature, go type creature, ID black. whichever of these at low mana values you can convince yourself work in a Liliana deck. I think most of them do. So a Cursed Marauder, Plague Crafter, Flesh Bag. She could have a dog. You could do a priest. That's a little bit weird. I'm not so sure about Rankle. She could have a snake. I don't think she would have a Royal Assassin, but Demon's Disciple, Merciless Executioner. Not so sure about Shambling Ghast. Gravelighter. I do not think she has a pet dinosaur. But I would slot those guys in to try to get ways to trigger Liliana. And then I would probably bring the Gisa in that I talked about as well. And then that would get us to... Oh, well, I should really just be doing this so that we can see how well this works. So Gravelighter. I don't know, that looks... We're gonna Maraud, I'm gonna Plaguecraft, I'm gonna Flesh Bag on you. I don't think Grim Hireling doesn't really seem to be doing it for me. I'll try Rankle, I'll try Priest. I'm not certain that we're gonna have enough juice for those two. Then we'll go Gisa, we'll do Ghoul Caller Gisa, we'll do Gisa the Hellraiser. Is there anything else we can do that's gonna be like recursion? Okay, here's another potential stretch too far. I think this guy has the right aesthetic. He is a cleric who is in a death cult, which I think works. He does have Valgavoth's name on him, so it depends if you think you can rehabilitate him or not. And then the other stuff I would be looking for is like the veggies. I would just want to have more card draw engines. Either more card draw engines or more tutors, because so much of our deck is just like straight crap. So I would affectionately, like, it has to be because we're trying to do a theme thing and we're not trying to just like play whatever the best cards in the world are. Black Market Connections. What else can I do? Requiem Monolith doesn't really fit. There's a tree that does it that doesn't really fit. All of the Ring doesn't really fit. Fuck, dude, I'm putting Knight's Whisper in a deck. Fuck, dude. Read the Bones also kind of seems like what we want to be on. And then try one Diabolic Tutor. And then I'm going to change this to Liliana. But I'm going to put too many L's in her name. All right. And then, oh yeah, we get to cut Swords to Plowshares. We get to cut that guy, cut that guy, cut that guy, cut that guy. So I have a little bit more room. I'm not going to change the land base at this time. These are all swamps. So what else do we care about? We care about a creature that can go and die. Servant of the Stinger is kind of interesting. I'm not totally confident that would work. I'm just going to look at some more repeatable pure draw, because I don't want to spend too long guessing at what your tolerance is for certain theme picks. And I know that pure draw will just work. We're not making tokens often enough. Morbid Opportunist could definitely get the job done. Midnight Reaper certainly seems like he could get the job done. Buster Sword, definitely. That's the oldest of Liliana's favorite things to do. And then I forgot to put in Arcane Signet, and then I'll put in one Talisman. So we're missing Ramp here. Oh, right, we're in mono black now. I don't have mana rocks anymore. Fuck. Cryptghast, old reliable. What could ever go wrong with Cryptghast? Alright, so we get 2 swamps. We have a swamp, we have a ramp piece, we have Liliana card that does nothing. We have Liliana card that commits a crime. That is something. I'm going to draw a card, play swamp. I'm going to play a swamp, play an arcane signet. I'm going to play this. I'm going to play this and hope I can shoot a mana dork. I'm presuming somebody will have played some like ramp piece, 1 toughness utility piece, and I'm going to hope she doesn't die. We're on 4 mana now. So I play this Liliana. I would probably down tick her. I think my political angle here would be like, hey, whoa. She's never gonna ult. Everybody be chill. I just want a little bit of value. Holy fuck, we mill 2 of the best value engines in our deck. Alright, now we hit Flashbag Marauder. So now I control the board a little bit. Stack this, I flip her. Everybody's gonna discard. I'm gonna discard I'm gonna discard Soul Guide Lantern. And then, I don't know, I probably won't kill something. And this is like a very rough place for us to be in, because now we just have a naked Planeswalker. If we were able to survive, if we were able to politic and lie to the table so far, what I would do is down tick Liliana to reanimate this, make everybody sacrifice. I would down tick this Liliana to mill 2, get this guy back, cast him again, and I would just try to clear everybody else's boards out. And then from here, I would be trying to draw into my land drops to just like slam down more Lilianas or more big demons. This still does not work well, but I think there is a pathway here. I think the things we are missing, we either need, you can pick one of these 3. More lands, more card draw, more ramp. I think more card draw fixes most things, but it is up to you how many engines you can justify on a flavor basis. Because the problem we're having, if we don't hit our land drops, we don't get to cast our Lilianas. We don't get to cast any of our big demons. And if we don't cast any of those guys, we're dead on flavor, and we're also dead on board. So if we were just drawing way more cards, we could, like if we had Dark Confidant, Keen Duelist, Darkstar Augur, Phyrexian Arena, and we were drawing 2 cards every single turn of the game, and we could hit our land drops, we could at least make some attempts at doing stuff. It's still going to be really, really rough, but I think this version that I'm working on at least gets to like try and tell the story of Liliana. And it enables you to potentially reanimate a lot of your big demons. Like, it's going to take some time to get up there. But ultimately, the core problem for the deck is the stuff that you want to be the flavor centerpiece is not good enough to carry a bracket 2 or bracket 3. That's not the end of the world, but it does mean you're either going to have to accept that you lose most of your games, or you're going to have to make some compromises. One of those compromises is just going like full dipshit control, because most any Planeswalker can win the game eventually if other people don't have creatures. So if you're willing to go like board wipe, then like any Liliana can get it done. But I would be going Liliana Defiant Necromancer. I'm trying to do crimes at you. Every game I'm hoping that she gets her bestie Ghoul Caller Gisa. And if I can assemble like Gisa the Hellraiser. If I can assemble either Gisa the Hellraiser, or I can assemble like, or I can draw into one of these big demons, or I can draw into one of the Liliana Planeswalkers that does do something, then it's like, okay, we have some type of value grind strategy happening. I do think it would behoove us to have more bombs like this, but to get to more bombs like this, we need more land drops or more ramp, and we don't have room for these things because we are spread so thin on theme pieces that really don't do anything. So the final paths I'm going to present to you are either you go bracket 1 and you do a deck where every card must have Liliana on it, and you run nothing that does not have Liliana on it. For bracket 2 or bracket 3, you either stay on this and try to make it feel very Liliana coded, and there will have to be a little bit of tweaking done from here, but stop trying to build from things you already own and start building from Scryfall Advanced. Or if you want to keep in Esper, you can keep in Esper. Everything you do in Esper to make the deck good is going to make the deck feel less like a Liliana deck. So I wish you the best of luck, and I do hope this helped.